Hi there, you with the rooster in your chart. Are you ready to play the challenger in 2023? It's your turn to be the year breaker. All the monkeys are happily handing it over to you. Well, we can't stop the progress of time, so ready or not, here it comes. But before I get any further, welcome back as we continue with the 2023 Chinese Zodiac series. In case we have yet to meet, thanks for watching. My name is Pauline Cheng and I am a Bazi and Feng Shui practitioner, business and career coach, and I love to use Chinese metaphysics to empower, not to disempower. All right, before we get into the stars, let's check the severity of the clash, shall we? Okay, so right here, let me get my bearings, yes. Right here, this here, is the Bazi chart for the year 2023. So, okay, this one, we're going to assume this is your chart. Right, your rooster is in the year. Okay, as you can see, the rooster to the rabbit, only one clash. This is very unlike the monkey in 2022. Back in 2022, the monkey was confronted with 3 tigers. You only have 1 rabbit to worry about. Well, okay, the bigger clash will happen in March when there are 2 rabbits and the yi-wood element becomes stronger, but still, it's a month, okay? So we'll do some live sharing before the month starts, share some ideas on how we can anticipate, mitigate, or maybe even use the clash energies to our benefit. And again, unlike the monkey-tiger clash of 22, which sees an axe chopping into a big tree, very noisy, okay? For 2023, your rooster and rabbit clash is seen as a more precise cut. This rooster of yours carries the singular energy of the sin metal, which is visualized as a pair of sharp scissors or sometimes gardening shears or scalpel, while the rabbit's yi-wood is visualized as soft-growing plant. So, unlike the monkey-tiger's dramatic clash in 2022, yours is more like trimming off the excess to turn an ordinary plant into a beautiful bonsai, a masterpiece, a work of art. We're feeling a little more relief now, aren't we? But there is a slight problem. The rooster has had, since circa 2019, a run of positive stars. In this crucial year breaker season, there seems to be a lack of external support. What the rooster is going through is a temporary feast and famine cycle. Let me show you what the stars look like. Okay, of course, taking pride of place, the year breaker. That's a fancy name for a clash of energies in your Bazi chart. A clash is very straightforward. It simply means one thing, change. Okay, how is that a negative? In the olden days, okay, they no like change. A good life to them is a long and boring life. But today, we understand that without change, there is no growth. Change is a part of everyone's evolution. It also means that we are countering the flow. A year breaker can only be hard if we resist change. If we open ourselves up to change and learn to reframe our perspectives, think opportunities, not problems, think challenges, not obstacles, we will find that 2023 could be an exciting and fulfilling year. Along with the year breaker comes its conjoined twin, the great consumer. When we see this, we know that we should keep budget aside for contingencies. It represents an increase in expenses. Very frequently, if we can throw money at a problem, then there is no problem. Okay, so where could this money possibly be needed? There are some clues. The calamity star is a disaster star. It could mean that we find ourselves somehow trapped in a disaster area such as floods, earthquakes, volcano eruptions, Okay, it could also mean potential damages to our property or home. So, as we begin the year, why not take the trouble to inspect your home for any damages, minor damages that can be immediately repaired. Since the calamity star is now in the rooster, prioritize areas in the west sector of your house. The other way that money could flow out, salty pool. the star of instant gratification. This salty pool is actually also a type of peach blossom star, but in this case, it is more connected to concepts such as unbridled lusts or desires. But if we know how to control the effects of this star, it can actually increase our desirability and likability. Okay? But back to the more pressing issue of the year breaker, because this clash is clashing outwards, your metal clashing out to the wood, we are given a modicum of control over this change. In other words, we get to decide which aspects of our life needs to change. But there are signs that maybe, just maybe, we would have some internal resistance to change. This is seen from the obstacles and prison inmate star. In this case, the obstacle star means that you become easily influenced by the negativity emitted by your circle of friends. Somehow, you're more willing to listen to negativity. Yes, I know toxic positivity can be very irritating, but that doesn't mean that we need to embrace our friends' negative attitudes. Because if we get sucked in, we activate the prison inmate. This describes a feeling of entrapment. We feel trapped physically or mentally or even emotionally. It's like suddenly we have tunnel vision, right? So, and then along comes the sky sadness, which will open the doors to depression and other emotional issues. These three together add up into what is called a sunk cost fallacy. This is nothing new. We've all experienced this in our lives. Let me give you 3 examples. Example 1. I spent years in a relationship with this toxic person. If I leave now, I would have wasted those years. Example 2. I'm miserable in my job and I long to be something else. But I've spent so much money acquiring my degree. If I change jobs now, I would have wasted that money and effort. Okay? Even businesses, example 3, even businesses has this. Projects or divisions that are barely breaking even, yet the owner is unwilling to divest and close off the division because he or she has spent so much money getting it off the ground. So now that we understand this, it's our job in our year breaker year to identify the area of sunk cost fallacy in our lives and decide to take action. The first card is the most painful. But is there support? Yes, some. The Jade Hall is trying to tell us that something we own, be it a material thing, asset, investment, knowledge, skill, talent, anything, something we own has increased in value. When we put these along with the Jade Hall, what the universe is trying to tell us is divest the unprofitable parts of your life, focus on what is truly valuable. Perhaps more importantly, we have the support of the month emptiness. This is a rather neutral star. Okay, I know I write there wish fulfilling. Okay, wait. What it does is that it helps to connect us to the universal energy. All right, it helps us to connect better to our inner self or our higher self. Okay, but why do we say that wish fulfilling stars are neutral? Shouldn't they be good? They're neutral because wish-fulfilling stars don't care. Okay? With this enhanced connection to the universal energy, our thoughts manifest our reality. If we succeed in challenging our limited perspectives and we succeed in creating change that is geared towards growth, the month emptiness will help us manifest that reality. If we do not break out of the confines of the prison inmate, then the month emptiness will keep us trapped inside. That's why it is a neutral star. What you think becomes your reality. So using this star requires control over our thoughts. But as I said earlier in this video, the rooster is only undergoing a temporary feast-famine cycle. What 2023 is asking from us is to divest what no longer serves and make room for better things to come in 2024. Which leads us to the next segment. How can we use these stars IRL? Let's start with career growth. Okay? First rule of the year breaker, be willing to drop the redundant roles. Sometimes we cling on to roles that are no longer serving our career growth, often for no other reason, apart from the fact that we've been doing it for years. All right, perhaps we have outgrown them. Is it time to pass it to someone more junior? Secondly, of course, with the great consumer and the calamity Shah, budget for contingencies. If you feel that you can do so, you could consider allocating some funds to invest in yourself. Maybe it's time to acquire a new skill. Yes, I'm crazy about new skills, okay? I'm sorry. Right? Third, beware the sunk cost fallacy that could be keeping you tied to a miserable career. It's up to you if you want to change jobs or not this year, it's up to you. But at least start taking steps towards changing your perspectives towards your career. Finally, with the Jade Hall, identify your super skill. When negotiating for an increment or promotion, this could be your leverage. Okay, for the business owners, I flipped the stars around a little. We're going to start by looking into the sunk cost fallacy. Like I've explained earlier, this is the year you challenge that. What is no longer serving your business? Are there projects, divisions, departments, clients, products, services? What? Next, something has grown in value. Your job is to identify what that something is. It could be physical assets, such as property that is owned by your business. Their value has matured, and maybe this could be the time to divest and keep your cash flow healthy. Thirdly, with the year breaker, be willing to pivot your product or service. Of course, because clash means change. And finally, with the great consumer, Calamity Shah and Salty Poo, please keep an eye on your cash flow and stay liquid for any contingencies. Okay, so when I look at this collection of stars as a whole, they seem to be encouraging a sense of detachment. Now, mind you, every practitioner will have different interpretations because we all have different perspectives. While the core effect of the stars remain the same, everyone will have a different view of how to use these stars. To me, they spell detachment. With attachment, change can be very painful. But here's the thing, you become very powerful when you learn to detach, because in that detachment comes objectivity and rationality. Am I asking you to intellectualize your feelings? Yes, a little. For 2023, at least for the rooster, there needs to be a rather zen-like approach to life. Okay, so let's wrap this up with, where's your rooster? Okay, so a clash to the year pillar, which means that your rooster is in the year. That's quite easy to deal with. You know all your negative friends, the energy, vampires, takers, whiners, complainers? Yeah, that bunch. Delete. Okay, go low contact, or better still, no contact. Okay, what about rooster in the month? All right, as mentioned during the career segment, look for certain parts of your job that are now redundant and keeping you tied down. Time to divest. Prioritize your core skills or core businesses. A year breaker in the day pillar. Don't freak out, it doesn't mean you have a divorce. Certain parts of your lifestyle or household routine can be changed for the better. Maybe both of you can go and exercise together, create a new hobby or a new habit that you can enjoy, right? Singletons and looking, well, time to change your supply chain of potentials, okay? And next, what about rooster in the hour? Easy. Your staff, getting comfortable in their roles, getting set in their ways. Time to change things up and challenge them to take on new challenges. In terms of investments, hey, with the Jade Hall, something in your portfolio has increased in value, you know what to do. Okay, so do these suggestions sound very broad? I'm sorry, they have to be not seen your full chart, all right? So in application, please, critical thinking on your part is required to apply into your own life. In creating this series, my intent was to inspire on how to use these positive and negative stars. Remember, they influence us, they don't control us. Also, these are merely possibilities, all right? They're not promises. It doesn't have to happen. And when we match our actions to the effects of the stars, we get to reap the benefits. So at the end of the day, that's what a Bazi reading is all about, to help you match your actions to the year's energies. So here's my offer to you. Okay, if you like, let's brainstorm the year together. I'm also very grateful to say that come 2023, I can also offer feng shui audit services as well. But regardless, if you like, I would love to have a conversation with you. My contacts are in the description link below. And with that, I want to say thank you for watching. And here's wishing you, yes, you with the rooster, 恭喜發財，心想好事成. May 2023 be a year of exciting changes and adventures for you.